record. And welcome to Habs Unfiltered, episode 339. I'm your host, Blain and I am joined now by my co-host, Matt Smith.
Good evening.
Treg Wilson is unable to be with us, and he sends his best regards. He's home busy dressing Suzuki up in little doggy outfits.
Those are great pictures, though.
They are. They are. She does not look happy to be dressed like a bunny.
No, but at least it wasn't like matching outfits.
Yeah, not color coordinated, so Zooks is not happy.
Yeah. But we can be happy. The Canadiens finally won a game. And they scored some goals.
They did. And the actual Suzuki should be ecstatic.
Absolutely.
So we're coming to you just after the Montreal Canadiens pulled out a win at home against the Washington Capitals. 6-2 final at that.
And it was kind of like how they scored the goals too.
The fact that they did is a big deal.
That's right. It was going into this month, it wasn't looking very good.
Really wasn't.
But career night for a few players. Nick Suzuki, he's now up to 63 points on the season, passing his career high of 61 that he did last year. Matheson, another very good game. Yeah, I can just imagine if the team would have been healthy and this guy would have been playing the way that he is. He had a career high last year with the Penguins, played 74 games. Now all of a sudden 45 games, he's got 33 points, which is fifth on the team in scoring.
And how many points did he get last year?
He had 31 and 74.
Slightly better season.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah. But it really, like for him, it started last year in the playoffs. So last year in the playoffs, he was a man on a mission. The 7 games that he played with Pittsburgh, he put up 6 points. And then the offense has just kind of continued from there. And he's back at home and he's looked very comfortable.
He has. It's a kind of, well, I mean, he's entering his prime now as a defenseman. 28 years old. He's figured out who he is, what he is, and how he can approach the game. And now he's in that 4 to 5 year window of his prime time. And being given all that extra ice time because he's the de facto number one doesn't hurt.
Right. But he's taken it and he's really taken it and he's surprised a lot of people.
Oh, I'm shocked. I didn't expect him to be this productive. I figured he'd be, a really solid puck moving defenseman, but I did not expect him to be this productive.
No, especially you look at the players that he played with in Pittsburgh with Crosby, Malkin, etc. And for him to be able to do this in the short period of time, like hats off to him. Definitely for me, he's the MVP as of right now. He's the MVP on the blue line this season. Like he's done so well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. When he's been healthy, he has been the focal point for that blue line.
Yes, but like another great performance tonight. 3 assists plus 4, 5 shots, 4 blocks. Played 25-45.
And you got to give him bonus marks because 2 of those blocks were on Ovechkin.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's gotta hurt.
That's guts. And you know what? Good on the penalty kill tonight, doing something that more teams should do. Put a guy on Ovechkin. Have your other 3 guys play against the other 4. And it worked.
Yeah, because they're constantly keying in on him. They want him to get the goals. They want him to break that record. So you take him out of the play.
Going into this game, he's sitting at 299 career power play goals. He already holds that record. But obviously to hit the 300 mark is obviously just another accomplishment in his storied career.
Which he did not get tonight. And usually when a player comes into Montreal and they need a record of some kind,
or they speak French, or their name sounds French, or they
Or they're
can
a
point out
rookie.
Quebec on a map or whatever they'll score.
Just an ECHL goalie call up. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They always
90,
perform.
97 saves.
Yeah.
The other team gets 4 shots and gets 3 goals.
And somehow that didn't happen tonight,
Yeah.
which is good. I mean, we may as well just get right into it. We'll start with Montembeault.
Yeah.
Speaking of francophone goaltenders in
Right.
Montreal,
Right.
he performed extremely well in this game.
He made some good saves, especially in the third. Canadians kind of said, "Hey, we got a little bit of a lead. We don't really have to put our foot on the gas as hard as what we were." And it definitely showed on the ice. And yeah, Montembeault made some good saves. The second goal, he didn't really have much of a chance on. So
No,
um, the first one was just a clean shot that beat him, but he recovered. He played a good game. He's got for a team that is this far out of the playoffs. Um, I think he's 16-16 now. So a 500 record for a goalie that, or for on a team that's this far out. Like I'm like, he's taken major steps in his development. Um, I'd still like to see an improvement, obviously, between the pipes in Montreal, because so used to having Harry Price there. However, all the shit that I talked about him last year, he's kind of improved on.
he did. I mean, did he play that bad because he was injured or he wasn't given enough?
Well, he
I don't
did
know.
deal with the hand,
Kudos.
wrist injuries and everything,
Yeah.
and he wasn't given he was given the shit game. Like he was given the game
Yeah.
on a back to back, or he was given um the ones that just the schedule didn't line up, and he didn't get the support. This year he's turned some heads. I'll give him that. Like he's performed well. I would still like to see an upgrade in net, especially with a healthy team, but giving him some starts and giving him some more opportunities now that the season has come to an is literally almost coming to an end. I've got no issues with that.
Yeah. And when you consider all the chances that the Capitals had, especially in the first half of the game when they controlled the flow of the play.
He did.
Montembeault played very well. I mean, they only had about what 6 shots, 4 up until about the second period, and then that's when they started to pick up the pace by scoring a couple shorties. But
Yeah.
Up until then, they were being outshot like 15 or 16-5 or something along those lines, and he was able to keep them in the game.
He needs to do that more often. No,
Yeah,
no. It's you know what, it's the Canadians are a team that they constantly get outshot. Like it's just the way that it is. The goalies are going to get peppered, and they have been, especially with a lineup that we're seeing and the people that they've had to use and to fill some of these spots. So it's a breath of, it's kind of a breath of fresh air to see him go in there tonight. He made 24 saves, 923 save. Again, I'm not gonna say anything bad about him. I can't. Not tonight.
no, he performed to the level that he needed to give the team the chance. Right, he made the saves he needed to make. Yeah, he let in a couple of goals, but they weren't bad goals.
No, no, they weren't.
So nothing to deflate the bench going, man, here we go, another one of those nights.
Right.
None of those types of goals.
Yeah. But when I look at Washington, they were kind of hit or miss tonight. They played at times with a lot of pressure, and they played at times like they just didn't care, because this is their first game since Sunday, and since that time they've been eliminated from the playoffs. So they're sitting or practicing, not playing, and then all of a sudden they're knocked out. So they didn't come in with that same say pressure that we're used to seeing when Washington comes into Montreal.
Yeah, they did look a little bit flat. Like once they let up those 2 shorties,
Yeah,
they deflated.
they did.
I mean, for the first time in years, I don't know how many years, what, about a decade now at least, they're out of the playoffs.
Yeah, at least first. Yeah, I think it's the first time since 2013. I think they said. Yeah, yeah,
So it's been a while, and
right.
I'd expect them to be a little deflated because of that.
Yeah, yeah.
But they still have Ovechkin. They had Backstrom. Carlson was
They
back.
still had a
Kemper
much
was
better
starting.
team. They still had a much better team. They had Kemper, Backstrom, Tom Wilson's back. Ovechkin's always a threat.
And a
So
full NHL lineup.
they did. They did.
Montreal did not.
They haven't all year.
Well, but the Canadians did show up to play. They put in that secondary effort. They put
They
in
did.
the extra work.
They did.
And by the end of the game, they had outchanced Washington. They had 28-21 were scoring chances. They were even on the high danger chances, but the Canadians were capable of changing the pace of the game and taking it to them.
Right. And one guy that I'll give a shout out to, other than Matheson, is Armia. One of these guys that one game a year, a couple games a year, he will have an offensive game like this. He'll look very good. Um, I was speaking high things of him going into this season based off his performance at the World Championship. He put up 8 points in 10 games. It looked like it was starting to, hey, this is the Armia that we want. This is the one that we want to see. And this year, another one of those injury plague seasons. And with those 3 goals tonight, he actually has as many points as he did last season. He had 60 in 60 games last year. He had 14 points, and now in 40 games, he's got 14 points.
He's just climbing that ladder.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
telling you.
yeah,
Maybe he just felt a lot more comfortable now that Finland is part of NATO.
maybe,
Could be.
maybe.
He's living Sisu.
But you know what? He's one of those guys. He's still got time left on his contract, and it's games like this that they can kind of say like, "Hey, look what this guy can do when he's actually on."
Yeah,
But
they
I'd
might
like
be able
to,
to trade him.
yes, but I'd like to see him be able to do that for Montreal day in and day out in a
Yeah,
like
but
on a third line role and be able to do this kind of stuff.
that would be nice.
Yeah.
However, tonight he did play about 18 minutes. He played on the
Right.
top line with Suzuki and RHP. And the first 2 goals, he was completely wide open, nobody around him in the slot. So he was able to load up and get his shot off. The only time he actually faced an actual pushback or any defense was on his hat trick goal into the empty net,
Right.
which is kind of that. If you're going to look up perfect nights and easy shots,
Yeah.
that those
100%.
would be the
Yeah.
goals.
100% shooting accuracy tonight too.
Yes, it was. I mean, he wired those shots.
He
The
did.
2 shots on Kemper,
Yep.
absolutely blasted those. The one timer off the face off for the second shorthanded goal, and the shot that he made just over his shoulder for the second goal that he scored. I mean, they were absolute laser beams.
They were. They were.
Unfortunately, that only happens once in a blue moon.
And that's the problem with him. Like since he's joined the Canadians, he hasn't played more than 60 games. And like with all the injuries they had last year, he was kind of one of those guys that was he stayed healthy for a little while and then all of a sudden he was injured as well. But I looked at the look up and down the lineup. There's a few guys that stood out tonight. I think Gallagher's been good since he's been back. They've been kind of lowering his minutes a little bit since he's been back, kind of easing him into it. He scored again tonight. Took a penalty for getting pushed into the net, which I didn't really agree with. It's his
Yeah,
reputation.
we'll get into that here in a few minutes.
Right. It's his reputation though. But it is what it is. Hoffman scoring a late goal, got his 14th, 15th goal of the season. Suzuki again, new career high, beautiful goal, shorthanded. Just just you can't ask for anything better with this guy. Like he has come out, he has played with any teammate that they give him, and he's excelled.
Yes.
He had his time that he went on a little bit of a dry spell, but the guy has been a good young leader for this team. He hasn't
And
let the pressure get to him.
no, 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 no. No, he hasn't. He has become the captain that they want. He's the even, steady, uh, never too high, never too low kind of guy.
Yep.
And in tonight's game, the shorthanded breakaway goal, uh, beautiful. He got an assist on one of Armia's goals, at least one assist.
Yep.
And more importantly, he was excellent in the faceoff dot.
Yep.
He
12
was at
9.
about 57%.
Yep.
And two of the goals were because of his face-off wins.
Yep.
I know there's a lot of people that argue that face-offs aren't that important, but
Oh, they are. They are.
you want to start with possession, and you do that by winning face-offs.
Yeah.
And when they lead directly to goals, that tells you that there is an importance to these things.
Yeah. Now, if only
So
if they could do it on the power play. But that's a next season thing.
well, at least with the power play, they were able to get some puck flow going. Like
Right.
they were able to enter the zone. They were able to hold it in the zone for a bit, and they were able to get the puck moving, which
Yeah.
is a far cry from what it was at the start of the season, where anybody who touched the puck while on a power play would be shot by a sniper.
Yes.
It was just so bad. So Armia did well. Suzuki leading the way. Matheson, whew, thank God for him. Um, what about Harvey Pinard? He comes back into the game tonight and he hits a post. He crashes the net. He does all those little things that you have to do to be successful in the NHL.
Yeah, he's just quietly putting up points. Put up an assist tonight. He does the right things. Right?
He does.
He does the right things. He's still playing like he's in the AHL. I brought this up a couple times. He is playing like he is playing on a top line in the AHL. He is going out there, he is finishing his checks, he's going to the dirty areas, he's doing what he needs to do to succeed at this level and to stay on the team.
That's the thing. He's consistent. He has not changed his game.
No.
What got him to the professional ranks, this is how he played when he was in junior.
Yes.
He was a lot more productive, mind you, but
right.
Every shift, every game, this has been him. He's been consistent. That's why there's this comparisons to Gallagher,
right.
because of the consistency.
Right. Like right now he's
and
got 14 goals and 6 assists in 33 games.
Not bad. I mean,
so
a goal every other game. It's okay.
So you put that's good for, well, I'm going to go out on a limb, but that's a 30 goal season.
Prorated, yeah.
All right, prorated. But I would say if he playing the way that he's playing with a healthy team, obviously he wouldn't be getting the same line mates that he's playing with. But he did show, what he has shown, when he was even playing on the fourth line, he boosted that fourth line up. Because at one point, we did a show when we were talking about Harvey Pinard, Belzile, and Pizzetta putting up all the points for a game. So
yeah.
he can score whenever, and he's good on the penalty kill, etc. But I'd say at least a 20 goal season, like a 20, maybe like a, yeah, I'd say a 20 goal season wouldn't be out of the picture if he would have started with the team.
No, this season I think for sure he'd be over 20. But I'm looking ahead to next season, and it looks to me like he has cemented himself position on this roster.
I think so.
And he's playing on the top line right now. He's producing well on the top line. But let's just imagine he's not on the top line next year, which is very likely. It's probably going to be in
Yes.
the third line.
Yes.
Even if he plays an entire season on a third line and scores the exact same number of points as he already has right now, that's a success.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm looking at a contract similar to what maybe Pitlick has at the one,
Yeah.
but maybe give him a little bit more.
No,
He's at right. He's at 1 point. Like, Pitlick's making 1.1,
sure.
right? Um, I would be, I'd be okay giving him like 1.25. Right?
Or I would give him more term. I would
You
give
do
him the
that too.
1.1, but give him 3 years, maybe 4, because at 1.1, you can still send him down on waivers and have nothing count
Right.
against your cap.
Right. Right. He is
It-
24.
yeah.
Right. He is 24 years old. Right. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I think he strikes me as a player that's just happy to be in the NHL.
For now, yes. Yeah,
Right.
I think so. And why not? Why not give him some term? I mean, look what they did with Gallagher. Gallagher came into the league similar to RHP, and he started to look pretty good. So they gave him a long-term deal, and that's when he really started to produce.
Right.
So Gallagher's production vastly outstripped his cost.
Yeah.
So that was a high value. So why not try that with RHP?
Yeah.
It's low risk.
Yeah. For me, it's going to really depend on the changes they make during the season, who goes, who stays,
Yeah,
etc. Because there's going to be lots of competition for these spots. So
absolutely.
if you look at even the top 9 forward positions, he's obviously going to play in the wing. So you only got 6 spots. You only got 6 spots there, right? And
Even
in
if he's
those,
on the fourth line.
yes, but with those 6 spots, you've got Anderson. You'll have Hoffman, even though he
Maybe.
should be probably a fourth line guy, but I'll throw him in there. But like,
Yeah.
I'll throw in the ones that should be there. Okay. Gurionov if he comes back.
Yeah.
You've got Anderson.
Hmm. Of
You have Cole Caulfield.
course.
You have Slavkovsky. And the rest is kind of who's playing where. Is Doc going to go back to center? Is he going to be on the wing? What's going to happen with Gallagher? Is he going to be a guy that can be a healthy Gallagher?
Well, there's still Armia and Gallagher, and then you have RHP.
Yeah.
You probably have someone like Pizzetta as a 13th guy.
Yeah, you got
And I do
Yolonen.
think, yeah, Yolonen. So I do think that Doc is probably going to be, well, they've been talking about him as a center. So
Yes.
my assumption would be that that's where he starts.
And we've
So you got
seen
all those.
and we've seen when he plays at center, it takes some of the pressure off of Suzuki.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not even taking into account guys like Beck who are going to be pushing for a
Right?
job, or whoever they draft, possibly a Will Smith, who, by the way, will be appearing on this show in the next couple of days. And what if they pick him? That's a center.
Right.
He's a couple years away, but you got to start planning ahead for that. Then you have, well, I mean, whoever they pick in the second um, first round pick this year, maybe it's another center who makes the leap. We don't know. Um, Machar might make the leap. I
Joshua
mean, there's
Waugh.
so wow, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Kidney's lighting up the queue.
Yep.
Does he get an extended look? Does he play just preseason? Does he make the team? Do they send him back down? Like, there's all these.
What ifs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Canadians have a shitload of options up front.
Yeah.
But despite all that, I still think that RHP has earned himself a spot
I think so. I think so.
because he's going to produce no matter what line he's on, and he's one of those rare players that can play anywhere in the lineup.
Right. and he's shown it, and he's been consistent.
Exactly. Yeah, you know what you're getting with him every shift.
But what I'm hoping for is that they can move out one of these other contracts, like a Hoffman or something like that. So you can put a guy in this position, or you can put another guy in that position that is going to be a part of this team moving forward.
Yes.
And
Yeah. Yeah. I
maybe
think,
his contract's going to be a little bit easier to get rid of, as he's only got 1 year left on it at the end of the season.
well, it would be nice if they were able to move some of these contracts out, but I don't think fans should be penciling in Hoffman trades right now.
No,
And I'd be wary because if Hughes really wants a first round pick, it's not going to be a guy like Hoffman that gets him
no,
that.
no.
It's going to be a guy like Anderson.
Right.
So that
Right.
might be the guy that moves. And hell, maybe Dubois comes in. That's
Right.
been the talk, right?
Right.
So there's all these different moving parts.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I brought this up before. Like, just a quick little chat on my take on Dubois. Dubois is the one that holds all the cards right now, right? Restricted free agent. If he kind of pigeonholes them and says, I only want to go to Montreal, hopefully that works in Montreal's advantage, and the package that they have to give up is going to be less than what it should be for a player like that. I know Marco D'Amico wrote in length about possible scenarios. So definitely head on over and check out his work on that. I won't get into it too heavy, but I'm hoping in a perfect world they're able to bring in a young player like that that's going to succeed in this market, much like they did with Kirby Dach. And I can see them doing so utilizing the Florida Panthers pick, which I think is going to now be a little bit more in play, because the way that it was looking like it was going to be a pick, 12, 13. They've been a pretty hot team lately, and they're in a first wild card spot now with the recent play that they've had. So the last few games of the year with Pittsburgh, the Islanders in Florida is going to be something we're going to have to watch. Florida has the harder schedule of the three teams. They've got a game, I think, against Toronto, a game against Carolina, and somebody else. But we'll see. We'll see. I think that if they make the playoffs, then that pick is 100% in play.
Oh,
And I
absolutely.
think and honestly, I think it already is. I think that it's got out of the Bedard sweepstake type pick. So I think that that's going to be in play.
Honestly, I don't disagree. I do feel that Hughes is still looking for a third first round pick at the moment,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean it changes anything when in regards to the Florida pick, which I agree is a high probability that he makes one of those Doc type trades.
Yeah.
I don't see him moving that pick for, you know, just anybody. It has to be a young player who can step up
Yes.
immediately,
Yes.
because not every prospect, they can't have a prospect pool all filled with 18 to 19 year
That's
olds.
right.
You
They
have
need
to
to,
stagger them.
yeah, and we've talked about this as well. They need to start looking at some of these prospects that they've brought in, saying which ones are going forward with us, which ones can we utilize right now to sweeten the deal to bring in help.
Because they can't all play.
Right. And before we finish up the show, as of tonight, Philip Mesher scored a goal tonight for Kitchener, and the Kitchener Rangers swept the Windsor Spitfires. Shane Wright's Windsor Spitfires. So number eight sweeps number one.
Yeah, Kitchener, they didn't sell. They went out and bought. That's not the way of an 8 seed. So
Right.
clearly the management thought they were a little bit better.
Right.
And on sweeps, not only did the Halifax Mooseheads sweep the Cape Breton Screaming Eagles, but tonight the London Knights just swept the Owen Sound
They did.
Attack.
They did. And we have prospects on either team. Cedric Guedon, who's a friend of the show, put up, I think he put up 4 points in 4 games or 5 points in 4 games or something like that. So good on him. However, Logan Mayo came out on top. Going into this game, he only had an assist in the 3 games, put up 4 points tonight, 2 goals, 2 assists. So they wanted a little bit more, and another sweep.
And I do like the fact that he was able to step his game up in an elimination game.
Yes.
So this is a player who gets crapped on a lot because of what he did off the ice.
Yes. Which we won't get into right
now. No, there's no point in rehashing the same thing over and over again. Mayu is a kid that has sublime offensive skills.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about his size, his physicality, his skating, his offensive ability. It's the defensive side that everyone wants to see improvements on. But for now, at the OHL level, I think he's maxed out what he can do.
I think so.
Or learn.
Yeah, I think so.
What he can learn. So the deeper they go in the playoffs, the more opportunity he gets, the better it will be for him when it comes time to take that step to the pros.
Yeah. And one, I'll point this one out too. This one will hurt you a little bit, but Peterborough, they swept Sudbury.
It never happened. That's fake news.
And Owen Beck, 3 points in 4 games, so 2 goals.
That's total right. Yeah, I can buy that.
Yeah. But you know what? He was another one of those guys. He was the guy in Mississauga. And it took him a while to get going in Peterborough. The assists were coming, the goals weren't. He still put up 25 points in 30 games. But hopefully he can have a deep playoff run with the Petes.
It's very possible. And you got to keep in mind too, the Petes play a very, very defensive style of play. So his numbers would go down there. It's kind of a throwback to the mid 2000s, like 2005 to 2010, kind of that style of hockey. It's very grind them out, very defensive, kind of trap, but he's still producing points even despite playing in that style. So that's good news. That is good news. But back to the Habs and Capitals game. Before we leave, I wanted to just ask you this one question.
Sure.
Which one of the 4 lines had the best night, advanced stats wise?
Oh, Jesus.
Which one do you think? Just by feel, by feel of the game, by watching it, the eye test. Which one do you think?
So I thought the Evans line looked good.
Yeah, they looked good.
All right.
They definitely looked good.
I think they looked good. However, I still want to say the Suzuki line though. But it's hard to say. Like Tierney's name came up fucking multiple times during the game, right? Like I said, the eye test and I'm not an advanced stat guy at all.
And that's the thing. You got to understand too that both are required.
There's a place for it.
Necessary. There is a place for both, but the line that you would not have expected to play so well, especially against the Capitals.
Yeah,
it's not the Evans line who looked good but had the worst statistical average amongst the whole bunch.
Okay.
It's not the Suzuki line which produced a ton of goals.
Yeah.
It was the Drouin, Gurianov, Gallagher line.
Motherfucker.
They controlled 75% of the play.
Yeah, they did look good though.
Yeah.
They did look good, but the thing is, a lot of the times when they look good is when you're not really honed in on them.
It's the little things that the advanced stats will pick up, these little minute things that you might miss in the eye test because the game's so fast.
Right.
And what I saw from that line, I felt pretty good. I mean, Gurianov looked very good. he was getting shots on net, dangerous shots. He was attacking the zone with speed. They were controlled zone entries, especially with Gallagher on that wing, and even Drouin looked good on defense.
Yeah.
So, all in all, I, I have to give that line a gold star
Well, they're only going to be together for a couple more games, so
at most.
at most, yeah.
But
That's
for tonight,
one of those
there
guys
you
ain't
go.
coming back.
Well, I mean, I think Drouin is making a good case for a contract, and if
Yes.
he keeps playing like that, he's producing points. He's playing he's playing well at center,
Yeah.
despite the fact that he's a winger.
You know what? He might come back. Who knows? It's definitely going to be.
I seriously doubt.
I'm going to say I seriously doubt it too, but it's going to be a lot cheaper than 5.5. Let's just say that.
I'm going to pull a Friedman and say I'm 95% sure that he's not.
Yeah.
That way I can hedge my bets.
Yeah.
All right, so that's pretty much it for the show. We're just in shock and awe that the Canadians won a game against the Capitals, no less. So before we go, do you have any final thoughts?
Two things. Shout out to Dave Poulin and Brian Mudrick. Another great season doing the TSN coverage for the Canadians. Two of the best in the business. Always enjoy watching a game that they're calling. Throw Craig Button in there too. I think he does a great job when he's with Brian or Dave. And another thing, it's the 5th anniversary of the Humboldt Broncos tragedy. So we're definitely thinking about all those involved today.
Sticks out for Humboldt.
Yeah.
That's yeah, it's
Hard to believe it's
5
been
years.
5 years. It's hard to believe it's
I
been
know,
5
right?
years. Yeah.
Uh, well, on that somber note, I don't have really anything to bring up, and no final thoughts really. Just to remind people to keep an eye out for our upcoming episodes. Will Smith of Team USA will be joining the show over the weekend or on Monday. We'll also have Hadi Kalakash come on the show to talk about prospects, and Grant McCagg will follow that up with his view on the prospects in the draft and in the Canadian system. And then we can kind of compare notes between the two, see how the new school and the old school
Right.
kind of do they differ at all? They do. But it's going to be a really good week. The Canadians still have a couple games left. We've got some great guests coming up. So that's my final thought. I just wanted to tell you guys, keep your eyes open for those. They're coming up soon. And remember, if you're talking about it, so are we.